Well, good midday, good midday, good midday, good midday. Today is the coldest day, but it's still the day the Lord has made, and we shall rejoice and be glad in it. And for that, we give him glory and honor, for there is none like him. So we welcome you, one and all, to being a part of this, learning moment, this opportunity for us to come together, even on a blustery, cold day, just to bless his name and to give him glory and honor. So we thank God for that. And we thank God for you that will be watching live and those that will watch this stream later, that you will know that God is on our side. Nancy, bless your heart. Good to have you here. Thank you so much for sharing. Cora, how you be? Ayana, praying all is well with you and yours, and that the family is doing well. And just grateful to God for another day. It's another day's journey, and I'm glad about it. Minister Sarah, bless your heart for being here with us on today. And we're going to do this, and if we got a million other things we need to get done, I've got a lot going on, but we bless the Lord for the opportunity to be able to come and to share with you. Wendy, Tom, Jemison, Lavonda, and so we're glad Chaplain Hearns. And we're just grateful that all is as well as it is. And we need to continue to pray for the region in the south that is completely and totally paralyzed by snow and by ice. LMA, dear, how are you? Gladys, bless your sweet potato soul for being here with us. Ethel, Linda, good to have you here. Carolyn, welcome, 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 welcome. And for that, we give God glory and praise. Darlene Madison, thank you so much for being here with us. Kind of like multitasking right now. And so I got all of this stuff going on at the same time. I've been down. Um, and now it's time to get back up and get caught up. Dr. Pamela, bless you for being here. And so we're grateful to God. And Gladys, it is good to be here. And we understand to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord, but we're not trying to expedite that. And so we're glad for that. Stephanie, thank you so much for being here. And just glad that you was here with us so that we can do and be and grow and exemplify what it means. Okay. There you go. There you go. There you go. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Um, Elder Carter, bless you for being here. I I got to make sure that I preface this correctly and that it's within the appropriate context of explanation because um, with what has happened over the past 2 days has sent unbelievable shockwaves through the nation. Um, a convicted felon has now parted or pardoned. Thank you, Janice, for letting us know all is well. Um, Police killers and assailants. Valerie, how are you? Um, and so, with us as people of color, hey, Hey, Jasmine, how are you? We have always known, Minister Faye, that the system has never truly been rigged toward justice, and that I'm doing it. I'm doing it, niece. And as long as we have been in this nation, these systems have always been geared against the disenfranchised, the poor. Hey, Sherry, how are you? And then for this blatant disregard of the judicial system, Sharon, how are you? To blatantly exonerate those who are guilty, who were found guilty. Barbara, how are you? In the court of law and admitted to their guilt. Minister Marcia, that now they and others have a free pass to execute anarchy. Ethel, to the point that it doesn't even matter what's right or what's wrong. And then now, all of a sudden, those who um, invoked this person to be back where they are, you want to be shocked. Well, I'm not going to engage in a lot of foolishness with this, because I believe that the position that has been acquired is nothing more than a distraction by the enemy to cause us to worry, to cause us to be afraid. And we know clearly God hasn't given us the spirit of fear, to cause us to, hey, D, how are you? To cause us to be so consumed with evil that we actually forget the power of our God. From the killing chambers in Nazi Germany, hey, Carolyn, to the enslavement of people of color, to the afflicting of hardships upon those who have never hurt anybody. I need us to know that God is still on our side. Hey, Jackie, I got to look at a text because I think it's important for us to see. Because when we look in Exodus chapter 14, hey, Sister Thomas, the next promise I want to talk about is the Lord will fight for you. Mm, mm, mm. Let me, if you don't mind, let me give a little backdrop of information so that I can be theologically correct with the theologians that are on here on today. For 400 years, hey, Goldie, bless your heart. Thank you so much for being here. In bondage, absolutely ungodly levels of slavery. And the funny thing about it is, they called upon God to deliver them. Yes, she did. She was not afraid. And I'm going to say this because this is a sidebar for just a second. You can release killers and people who assaulted police, but then try to demand an apology because of truth. And so in the midst of this, hey Deborah, how are you? In the midst of this, they called on the name of the Lord. I hope y'all don't mind. Can I take my time and walk my way through this? God used Moses to replicate and defeat every god that they believed in. I need us you got to go back into that Genesis account and take a real good look at that. Everything that they believed was superior, God defeated at the hand of Moses. And so the amazing thing about it was, as Moses was following the lead of God, it created an even harder hardship on the people, which caused the people to turn on their leader. Now, I need us to see this, because sometimes right before deliverance, trouble intensifies. Oh, I wish I had three people that under right before deliverance, trouble intensifies. And so here they are, screaming and yelling, because now they got to make bricks without straw. They got to do what they got to do. They got to do all of that. Why you do this? Why did you just leave us alone? We were that. Now here's the contradiction to the text. You have been calling on God for hundreds of years to be delivered. The deliverer shows up, and now you don't want to be delivered, because you find out that there's a little heavy lifting in deliverance. Ooh, God, Jesus, Lord, help me. Don't make me shout. Because the enemy is not going to just sit back and say, "Oh, well, you guys can go ahead and go about your business. Everything will be just fine." No, there has to be some level of pushback that takes place from the enemy. Pastor Jennings, bless your heart. And in the midst of the pushback, you got to remember that that pushback is a preparatory moment, because he's getting ready to push you forward. It's kind of like, you ever created a slingshot out of a rubber band, and you take the rubber band and put it between your two fingers, and you noticed that in order for the projectile to go forward, you got to take and pull the rubber band back. And by pulling the rubber band back, you create tension. And the tension that is created is designed so that the projectile can go in the direction that you are aiming it. So every now and then, every now and then, God will place you in a position of tension, and he will stretch you. I press toward the mark. I stretch toward the mark. He will create a level of tension that stresses you a little bit, that pulls you in a direction you really don't want to go. So when he releases you, you become a dynamic projectile of power. Mm, mm. Linda Brown, y'all didn't hear? Y'all ain't hearing me. Y'all not hearing me today. And the problem with us is, you never hear the rubber band complain, because its design is to be stretched. That's why it's called a rubber band. And so in the midst of this, we see that the tension continuals. It's a continuum that takes place. but it does not detour. Now he goes through these moments when it like, oh my God, y'all got me out here with all these crazy people. And then the thing that must be understood about the text in this Exodus experience is that the funny thing about it is the defeat of the enemy comes from the enemy's mouth. Out of all that has taken place, he declares and decrees that it's time for somebody to die. And so he declares that the firstborn are going to die. But the thing that must be recognized is that the very thing that the enemy has said is now going to land in their house. I need us to hear clearly what I'm saying. You gotta quit being worried about what comes out of somebody's mouth, because what has come out is coming their way, not yours. Corey, you need God to help you deal with it. All of us need God to help us with the stretch, because many of us really don't know our potential until we are stretched. Many of us don't really know who God is until we are stretched. Many of us don't know how far we can go until we are stretched. Let me move on. And the Bible says that they took the blood and put over the doorposts, because the enemy, hey Vernice, the enemy says, y'all gonna die. Firstborn gonna die, firstborn gonna die. And so they take the blood and they put it over the doorposts. And then at midnight, D, don't do that. You don't. There's a shout coming in that. God is in the stretch. Woo, Lord have mercy. And so when the death angel shows up, God has provided protection. Y'all didn't hear me. Has provided protection behind the door, but it's not the door that protected them, it was the blood. Angela, Fort Worth, Texas. How y'all handling that snow out there? Welcome to our world. Please be safe. Please be safe. And so when the death angel comes, the very thing out of Pharaoh's mouth now lands in his house. And in the midst of that, how much time I got? I got 2 minutes. In the midst of that, because I'm gonna come back Friday and finish this up, because I got therapy tomorrow, and I don't want. That's okay, Christy. Glad that you're here. And so now, when Moses goes before Trinette, how are you? Goes before Pharaoh. He says, "Get out of here." But you got to look at the text of that Exodus moment, because they're poor, they're destitute, they don't have much of anything. But when God delivers them, they leave with everything. And so as they leave, they have the riches of Egypt with them. They get ready to leave, but you got to look at something, because when you get to the 14th chapter of Exodus, we see that you can take D, listen at you. In the 14th chapter of Exodus, they run into another problem. The problem is they are out in the desert. God hardens the heart of Pharaoh, or permits his heart to be hardened, whichever theological presupposition you would like to use. And he decides that he's going after them. I want you to think about this. He's going after them to bring them back into bondage. Do you see a parallel? Do you see a parallel? We believe that we were set free, that we are no longer enslaved and under the rule of the master. Then all of a sudden, they decide it's time to bring you back into bondage. Take away your rights, take away your opportunities, or no longer want you to be enveloped in truth, but encompassed in lies. To be fearful to thrive and to be able to live the life that God would have you to live. So here they come. They are coming with, they're not just bringing regular army people, they're bringing the elite army. Did you notice? Did you notice that this time there weren't a lot of legislators around, but there were multimillionaires and billionaires? The elitist army has decided we're going to bring them back into bondage. I got to stop. When I come back Friday, we're going to take a real good look at chapter 14. And the reason we're going to take a real good look at chapter 14 is because we need to know who will fight for us. I'm not going to change my lifestyle. I'm not going to change my witness. I'm not going to change anything about me because something evil appears to be in control. This ain't the first time evil has tried, won't be the last time. But listen, when we get together on Friday, we're going to do the best we can to work with what we got to help you to understand the liberating and the exhilarating power that God has given to his people. I got to go. I got to go. I got to go. Oh my God, Pastor Stanford, you need to go back and rewatch, okay? Because the shout is in the rewatch. I love y'all with the love of Jesus, who is the Christ. Don't forget, we're going to come together at 6:30 tonight. 6:30 tonight, midweek worship. Join me. Spread the word. May God bless you. May he keep you, is our prayer.